I think what the American people want is nonpartisan map drawing. The Constitution states that this should be one person, one vote. No group should be reduced or eliminated, and that everyone should have fair maps. Well, there's actually a bill in Congress to mandate just that. I'm a proud sponsor of, but it just can't move forward under the polarization that exists now. The Republicans will rig the election. They see the polling that's take place. The reason they're doing this is they don't like the way things look for the midterm elections.
We're not here to play political games. We're here to demand an end to this corrupt process.
Yeah, absolutely.
We ask them to stop hiding things from the public. We ask them to stop doing things behind closed doors. We ask them to stop attacking Texas communities. They refused because their loyalty and fealty to Donald Trump overrides all other interests.
I don't know about you, but he looks scared. And what you saw just isn't about politics. It's not about what you saw isn't just about politics. It's not just about hypocrisy. It's about a fundamental question. Are the people we elect to make our laws themselves above the law? We've all seen the headlines. Texas Democrats leaving the state on a private jet to break quorum and stop a vote on a redistricting map. The media loves the optics, the high-flying lifestyle versus the man of the people. And that's all rhetoric. Let's hear right from the governor himself, Governor Greg Abbott. Let's see what he says.
Governor Greg Abbott joins us now. Thank you so much. Can you tell us from your perspective, what is the issue? Why did they leave?
So they're leaving and they've left because they're very un-Texan. Texans don't run from a fight. And there's a fight going on in the legislature right now about redistricting as well as other things. But I'll make two quick points, Dana, about this. For one, to run to states like New York and Illinois to protest redistricting is kind of like running to Wisconsin to protest cheese. It's just kind of outrageous. Those are New York and Illinois are two hallmark states that have already done redistricting to eliminate Republicans. But the second thing is far more serious. And that is what these Democrats have done. Just a small fraction of them were needed to break a quorum, and that small fraction is holding hostage legislation in the state of Texas where we will be able to provide assistance and reform for all of the victims of that horrific flooding that we've had in the state of Texas. Our fellow Texans are being let down and not getting the flood relief they need because these Democrats have absconded from the responsibility, and I believe they have forfeited their seats in the state legislature because they're not doing the job they were elected to do.
Okay, so here's where I have to interject. And the surface of the story is 50 Democrats have fled Texas to avoid a quorum so they did not have to go and vote. It's during the same time that the Democrats are latching on to a thing called redistricting, where they're going to redraw where those people represent. But Governor Abbott brings up something that the news media is not talking about, it, either conservative or left-leaning politics, left-leaning news sources. It's that some of these votes that need to be cast is for flood relief from the victims of the Texas flooding. And they are preventing this from happening. They are holding some of the American and blue-collar Texans hostage for political games, for political showmanship. They're going to Illinois. They're going to New York, two states that already redrew districts using the same policies. So this is a double-edged sword. I want to get a little further into this. Let's hear a little bit more from the governor.
Your statement that you put out today to all of them in a letter to them, you said, in addition to abandoning their offices, these legislators may also have committed felonies. What is the felony? What are the penalties for this?
Oh, boy.
So very simply, it would be bribery if any lawmaker took money to perform or to refuse to perform an act in the legislature. And the reports are these legislators have been both, they sought money and they offered money to skip the vote, to leave the legislature, to take a legislative act that would be bribery. And so the facts will have to come out. But I think based upon comments made by legislators themselves, they face a possibility of facing bribery charges, which is a second-degree felony in the state of Texas. There's one way to cure that, and that is if they get back to the state of Texas and make quorum today at a hearing that we have at 3 o'clock, they can cure themselves of any quid pro quo that would subject them to potential bribery charges.
All right. You said in your statement.
This is an interesting situation. We've never seen anything like this, where the actual governor is stepping in and he's going to remove their capability of holding these seats. I don't know about you, but I think this could get very, very messy. Which side are you on here? Are you on the side of the Texans, the Texas people, the Texas voter? If you were one of these flood victims and there was money that was being withheld because these people are playing politics, how would you feel? How would this change your voting path going forward? Now, the Attorney General, Ken Paxton, is not someone to be messed around with. He has taken the gloves off in the past. Things are going to get a little ugly. Now this is coming at a national level, and I'll show you someone else that's weighing in on this and has some real hard facts about the Democrat Party in Texas.
Now, this is not the first time the Texas Democrats have run away to break quorum. They did this back in 2021, and in doing so, they released some of the worst social media ever. They went to Washington, D.C. and started releasing photos of themselves eating salads and talking about what absolute heroes they were.
That.
Well, James Tallarico has made himself a little bit of a face now because he wants to run presumably for higher office. He was on Joe Rogan recently where he promoted a bunch of very left-wing ideas that Joe, of course, started buying into. Joe is not a right-winger. Right? Joe may be a heterodox person who voted for Donald Trump, but he is certainly not in any way sort of traditionally conservative. Well, here is James Tallarico explaining why he is running away.
My Democratic colleagues and I have just left our beloved state to break quorum and stop Trump's redistricting power grab. Trump told our Republican colleagues to redraw the political maps here in Texas in the middle of the decade to get him 5 more seats and protect his majority in Congress. They're turning our districts into crazy shapes to guarantee the outcome they want in the 2026 elections. If this power grab succeeds, they will hang on to power without any accountability from the voters. But Texas Democrats are fighting back.
So the Texas Democrats are leaving. They're avoiding voting, and they, in his words, call it fighting back. I'd like to know who they're fighting back against, because it seems like the only real people that are suffering right now are the men and women in Texas that are dependent on this funding for flood relief. People that have lost their homes, lost their vehicles, have no electricity, no power, no way to go to work. Maybe some of the businesses they work at have been destroyed. They are withholding funding and playing political games. This is like a joust. And you have the governor and his band of followers headed right towards these Democrats. And the Democrats, by leaving the state of Texas, have put their seats in jeopardy. Love to know what you think about this. But that's the surface story. It's a distraction. As somebody who's worked on campaigns and seen how the sausage gets made, I can tell you the real story is always a layer or two deeper. And the real story here isn't the jet. It's the potential for felony charges. Governor Greg Abbott came out, connected the dots in a way most have missed. He's not just threatening fines or political consequences. He's talking about bribery charges, a second-degree felony. Now, that might sound like political bluster, but the law he's citing in Texas, bribery can include soliciting, accepting, or agreeing to accept a benefit in exchange for a violation of a known legal duty, like a free flight, free food, free hotel. What is the legal duty of a legislator? There's very limited, but one of the main laws or duties is to be present, to participate, and to vote. So when these absent lawmakers or the Texas House Democratic caucus itself put out posts on social media saying, please support our efforts, donate here, What they're asking for, they're soliciting for funds. For what purpose? To help them continue to break the quorum, to continue violating their duty to show up. Governor Abbott argues that any person who gives them money and any lawmaker who accepts that money for the purpose of staying away could be crossing a very bright and legal line. This isn't a game anymore. This elevates the stunt from political theater to a potential criminal conspiracy. This is what the forgotten men and women of this country understand. We understand that instinctively. You have to show up to your job. If you don't, you get fired. You don't get to start a GoFundMe so you can keep skipping work. And you certainly don't get to call it a noble sacrifice. The core issue here is accountability. It's about whether the same rules apply to everyone. This isn't about one party versus another. It's about the principle that public service is a duty, not an option you can crowdfund your way out of. Forget the private jet. The real question is whether these lawmakers allowed their principles to be bought. On the surface, it looks like it, because if they did, the price could be far higher than a plane ticket. It could be their freedom and their careers. This is the Ben Dykes News Show. Thank you for tuning in. Smash the like and subscribe button. We try to cut through some of this political ideology, this right wing versus left wing. We're all part of the same bird. Let's just help these men and women in Texas rebuild their homes, rebuild their jobs, rebuild their lives, rebuild their families. Take care. I'll see you on the road. And we're going to hit the road again.